and welcome to episode 54 of Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. I'm Kimberly, your host, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. Did You Bring the Hummus is a podcast to help you go vegan. This season, I'm sharing new episodes every Monday discussing all things vegan. Most importantly, we'll talk about how to embrace this meaningful decision with fervor and fun. Episodes post every Monday on your favorite podcast app. Before we get started, I have one very important question for you. Did you bring the hummus? Who wants to beta test a 4-week group program with me? I know what I needed when I was exploring veganism, but is that what you need? Send me an email at didyoubringthehummus@gmail.com with I'm in the subject line. In the email itself, just let me know which time zone you're in. I'll reach out with the details to all who sent an email by 11:59 p.m. Eastern today, July 3rd. Once you have the details, you can decide if you want to participate. This is the final episode of Season 3, but don't worry, I'll be back later this year with an exciting Season 4. Today, I am joined by food inclusivity mentor and expert Heather Landex. Heather has worked in hospitality, restaurants, and food businesses for 20 years, qualified in environmental health, and specialized in food safety for 10 years. She has advised and trained thousands of food professionals in several countries, auditing and inspecting restaurants and hotels. The highlights of her career include the 2012 Olympics, Michelin-starred restaurants, and some of the world's biggest franchises. Vegan since early 2019, and around 6 months later suffered a spontaneous, serious allergic reaction in a hotel on a work trip. Let's just say Heather has naturally specialized in food inclusivity. Most businesses are already compliant in food safety sense, but they do not recognize how many people with dietary preferences are their potential customers and that they are turning them away. There's a 20 to 40% population left out of eating out. Heather mentors food and hospitality professionals to attract and serve more customers, reduce risk and liability, and ultimately earn more money. In addition to a great conversation on food allergens and how patrons can be safe when dining out, as well as efforts restaurants and hotels can make to be more inclusive, Heather and I also discuss our mutual love for public speaking and Toastmasters, which we both believe has the ability to help make the vegan movement louder and more effective. Hey, Heather, thanks for joining me.
Hi, it's lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too. I'm so excited for this conversation. The work that you do is so interesting and so important, and I can't wait to get to that. But before we get to it, I'd love to hear about your vegan journey.
Yeah, I sort of change this story every time I bring it up. I don't actually know when it started. I always say I was a closet vegan because when I was about 14, I tried to be a vegetarian and I was sabotaged. It wasn't allowed. And it took marrying a vegetarian probably. But in between, I suppose my career started out in biology. And I was always that squeamish person. We had to do like things where you chop up things from the slaughterhouse, and I couldn't stomach that at all. But I did eventually qualify to be a conservationist. So I went and did lots of field work in Australia. I was a possum tracker and a stingray tagger, but it's actually pretty gruesome. It should have been. I didn't know what veganism was, so I didn't really ever join the dots. So I retrained as a dive master, a scuba diver, and I did that in the tourism industry. Not for very long because it gets a bit tedious. I actually want to go and visit all the dive sites and a lot of exploration, but actually you end up just taking people on the same route all the time, and the practicalities are a bit dull. But I'm a qualified dive master. But the reason I wanted that qualification was to be the passive marine surveyor, so I could go and count fish or check out coral reefs and stuff. Although they're pretty much dying off now, the coral reefs, and so that's where the stingray tagging came in. But so I was working with PhD students as their skivvy. Basically. But I had to leave because I was in Australia and New Zealand. I ran out of visa options. And then I moved back to the UK, and it's not the same scuba diving in the UK. If you compare it to because I dived like all around New Zealand and Australia. I had a bit of an obsession. And then I guess it took having children and marrying a vegetarian to really experiment. So I'd probably say I was a pretty good flexitarian. And when I say flexitarian, I mean between vegetarian and vegan.
Okay.
Not vegan and I'm just going to be a meat eater, which I hear a lot of that. Um, but I guess the pivotal point was I was trying to be vegan and I kept failing
Hmm.
until my best friend, who is also a vegan and pretty straight talking, was like, "But you're a hypocrite," because I was whinging about cows because I'd been a breastfeeding mother and like, oh, I sympathize with the cows, like da da da. And then I tried to give up just dairy, and it didn't work out because I wasn't all in.
Hmm.
And so I eventually just said, I am a hypocrite. I can't tolerate this frustration anymore. And I had a so I went to my parents' house and hosted my daughter's birthday party, and I hosted it fully vegan for everybody, and everyone ate it except my parents sabotaged it. They both had a cheese sandwich, some sort of rebellion. But no one else even realized it was vegan actually,
Oh.
and because it was we'll talk about hummus later, but there was a really
Hmm.
good hummus there. But my friend who explained that I was a hypocrite and wouldn't let me like explain my way out of it, um, had to take me to a supermarket and show me how to shop basically, and
Yeah.
how to make a cake that didn't involve eggs. And
Hmm.
it went from there, and it was quite hard and slow to shop and things, but I don't think I ever doubted doubted the decision from there. I
Hmm.
guess I got better at being vegan as I Google suddenly discovered that I was into this stuff, and then you get shown all the things, and then like then I was more obsessed with e-numbers and all these colorings and things, other things that you don't realize aren't vegan. So that's my vegan journey. Except about 6 months later, I then had a severe allergy. So then I had a whole new awakening about what's in food, and the allergy side of things isn't so vegan doesn't mean anything about allergies. And I was like, but I'm vegan. How could I have a milk allergy? So that's the whole journey of veganism and how I ended up in food inclusivity as well.
Hmm, that's so interesting. I see the pattern with your parents, huh? They sabotaged when you were a teenager, and then they finally have an opportunity to really support this choice you've made, and they were like, "Nope, Heather, not this time."
Oh, my dad is such an auntie, but my mum sometimes says she's vegan in restaurants, and my husband's vegetarian, although if you look at his diet, I'm having an influencer. Um, but we went to a restaurant. She said, "Oh, I want to see the vegan menu," and we were so horrified because then they didn't take me or my husband seriously because she ordered the
Oh,
salmon, and it's
oh.
she's not vegan most of the time or vegetarian. She says, and vegan friendly. She's trying to be a good mum, and she like cooks some things for me sometimes. They
Mhm.
usually don't taste much. She always puts chili or curry in. I don't think I better not let her listen to this. But I like, I had to explain to her what a flexitarian is, but actually when she's on holiday, she's a typical eater. If anything, she goes a bit extra meaty. She's avoiding cholesterol, is why she
Mhm.
doesn't like animal products. So she tries to avoid cheese and the red meat. And I'm like, that is not vegan, mother. You're embarrassing me. But she does seem to be more aware of things. But she also bought me some chocolate once that was stamped vegan. And then she's like, but on the back it says may contain milk and egg. And I was like, what do you think I do for a living?
Yeah, let's talk about this label, Mom. You know, I love that you bring this up though, because it really is a learning process. And we're on this journey where, like, we don't live in a vegan world. So these things, unless we have a vegan in our life, like you did, to show us things, or in my case, I had to keep reading books and figure stuff out and live on pasta and cheese when I went vegetarian because I didn't know how to cook and I didn't know what to eat because I didn't like vegetables back then. Like, we have to learn, and so even if someone listening is kind of like your mom and they're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I'll check out the vegan menu, but I'm probably going to order the salmon anyway," like, know that it can still be done. Like, we're all on a journey, we get here through many different paths, and if veganism is something that interests you, like, it doesn't matter where you're starting from, like, you can get there. And if you have an allergy, this is definitely the episode to listen to. Well, so let's get it because you mentioned that already, that, you found out you have this milk allergy and you're a food inclusivity expert. Tell me, what does that mean? And how does it work?
Well, basically, food inclusivity. There's loads of people that end up vegan because of an intolerance to meat, by the way, which is something that people don't know, or
Hmm.
milk intolerance. So they end up naturally, I guess it's the world of Google and the social dilemma that I want something without dairy, so I must be vegan, like Google's telling them all the things. But food inclusivity is about having a policy where you include people that are normally excluded, like people with dietary preferences. It happens to the vegan, so you can probably empathize completely. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of misunderstanding about terms and veganism, and does that mean you're dairy free? And there's a lot of things that the general person doesn't get it at all. They don't even get that a food allergy could kill you. They don't
Mhm.
get how anxious people get. And a lot of restaurants and places, they basically have this disclaimer that says, if you have a food allergy, get lost. We have everything and everything. Our
Yep.
kitchen's open. We just, we can't serve you. And in situations that's not a restaurant, like school or a workplace or any place that's not home,
Hmm.
it's really damaging for people. It causes a lot of inequalities. People are left out and humiliated, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of teasing and bullying in children.
Mm.
But it wasn't until because I was already a food inspector, so I was like going around hotels and restaurants. I was in a private sector. I was also a bit too soft to prosecute people. I have too much empathy for even humans. Like I can't harm them. So I went to the private sector where you sort of invited in by the big guy, the big boss who invites you in. Um, and I wasn't really allowed to speak about veganism, especially if they were getting the menu wrong.
Mm.
That wasn't part of my scope because as an auditor, you sort of go through, it's a bit like going through a checklist, but a bit more savvy than that, and like validating things. But they quite often would say, if I ask them about the vegan option, is it safe for someone with milk allergy, which is the most common, most deadly food allergy, especially in the
Oh,
UK, that
wow.
they had the most deaths from milk.
Hmm.
Even milk contamination now is a problem.
Mm.
And it's also the most common thing to be found in vegan food is milk or egg.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, it's a vegan option. Of course it's milk free. Like milk free or non-dairy are two different things. You do not serve this to someone. You
Hmm.
will potentially kill them.
Yikes.
If not, you're called there's so many people with intolerance. Like I found out I have milk intolerance, not the anaphylactic type of allergy, but I didn't know that originally.
Mm.
Um, so that's sort of my pet nightmare is like, don't damage the vegan cause
Yeah.
just because you've not understood about allergy friendliness. That's sort
Hmm.
of my like repeated nightmare, I suppose. I suppose that sort of drives me quite a lot because it happened to me. I probably got milk in my food,
Hmm.
and shellfish. Um, but I think with food inclusivity, it's about being considerate to other people. So I
Yeah.
think like vegan businesses would get this easily. They're just scared of the law because the law is quite frightening. Because if
Mm.
you give someone an allergic reaction, basically you've proven that you were negligent.
Oh,
But
okay.
technically, they're accepting a risk. And if you have to leave the house with a severe allergy or multiple severe food preferences and dietary preferences, and even allergies to things that are not food, you actually take a risk when you leave the house, especially if you go to school with children that don't have good hygiene. And
Mm.
so this aspect of food safety is sort of neglected in the food safety sense. It's just black and white, like you either kill them or you don't. So they have this disclaimer because they're scared when actually
Yeah.
I think the individual generally has good intentions and they want to serve and have good customer service. Some food businesses are just there for the money, but
Hmm.
it earns you more money if you serve people well and can serve more food.
Yeah.
So a good way of describing food inclusivity, how it works in a business case, is
Hmm.
that say you have the vegan in the middle. If the vegan can't eat, they probably persuade the whole group not to eat there because one person in the party can't eat anything,
Right.
probably not even the drinks. Sometimes they won't even tell you what's in the drinks.
Oh my gosh.
The drinks are quite often neglected. Like they might have a menu with some icons. They've
Hmm.
forgotten about the drinks, especially if it's like cocktails and things
Mm.
or coffees. Mm.
Huh.
So if you think about, like conferences and meeting rooms, they might have some coffee and biscuits and milk.
Hmm.
But have they considered that they might need oat milk and some vegan cookies? Because if you eliminate quite a few of the allergens, they're animal products. So that's
Mm.
actually a really inclusive option, but don't cover everything in gluten.
Right.
I think we've had this discussion before, like, just give me
Yeah.
all the gluten. Just, I'm
Yep.
the
I will
vegan, give
take
me all
all
the
the
gluten.
gluten.
People seem to any dietary preference, it must be gluten-free and vegan.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a very inclusive option to be gluten-free and vegan. but it has to be vegan in the allergy-friendly sense to be inclusive. Because if it's still Burger King had a case where they got sued or attempted. It wasn't successful because a vegan said they had a false advertising campaign because they'd said 0% meat in the Impossible Whopper.
Uh-huh.
But in the small terms and conditions, not on any of the advertising posters or anywhere, but on the terms and conditions inside the store, it
Where no
says
one's
if you're
looking.
vegan, yeah, if you're vegan, you can have a microwave burger, take off the cheese, take off the mayo. So it's not even plant-based.
Yeah.
It's actually not even vegetarian sometimes. It has.
Hmm.
So the meaning of plant-based isn't the same as vegan.
Right.
But in the UK, people think it is. So it's like the Americans have changed the meaning. But then even Sweden and IKEA, I don't know if you're a big fan
Yeah.
of this furniture store for, I always think it's for students, but actually I still shop there. But they now have a plant-based Swedish meatball,
Mm-hmm.
a vegan Swedish meatball, and a meat Swedish meatball. And the plant-based one is supposed to imitate the meat one. So
Oh,
all of the
okay.
sides and the gravy are actually not vegetarian.
Oh, wow.
So the vegan, you have to ask for the vegan option if you're vegan. If you
Huh.
want plant-based, just the meatballs, then you get the standard sides.
Hmm. That's so interesting, right? Because so many people would think, now if I saw plant-based vegan or meat, I would choose the vegan one without even batting an eye. But if I were, that's me specifically, but I think if I were a person who was like, oh, I really like to eat more plants or kind of exploring this idea, I think I would assume that plant-based would mean that there would be no animals in it. But I think what people are surprised to find out is that plant-based, for the most part, literally means the base, like based in plants, like the basis of your meal is
Predominantly.
plants. Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no animal products in it. And I think people are really surprised when they find that out.
It's quite modern as well, since they've had these fake meats. It's been like 5 years or something that
Hmm.
it means take the meat out and put fake meat in. It doesn't even
Yeah,
mean meatless. Like
right.
it might still have bacon in it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's just they've taken the burger out and put, and because they want the prestige of the Impossible or the Beyond
Mhm.
Burger, they're advertising that. But that's the
Yeah.
plant-based part of the burger, and the burger might still have egg on it or yeah, and I got very confused trying to order during the pandemic because one of these
Mhm.
places has takeaway, but if you take off all of the animal products and put on the vegan products, it was actually twice the price.
Yep.
So I was like, well, I'm not going to order with you. And I told them about it, and they're like, we don't know how to fix our system.
Ah, and you were like, I can help you.
Yeah, they couldn't substitute. And even if you substitute, there's a premium.
Hmm.
And so that if you wanted a vegan burger with, vegan cheese on, it was really expensive. I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
yeah, I'll just have something else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame because that place, they do try hard. They had three different types of plant-based burger.
Oh wow.
And not just
That's
fake meat, but like a pea one and a bean one and a
hmm.
one was a bit like potato though. That's very weird
Oh,
in a
that's
burger.
interesting.
No hummus though. Mm.
Ah.
So I basically naturally evolved in my physical body into a food inclusivity mentor. And now I'm allergic to shellfish, and it's actually related to being allergic to insects, which I never knew. Um,
Oh.
yeah, it's a special type of cross-reactivity. There's a similar protein in the shell of insects that's also in the shell of shellfish. Uh,
Hmm.
so I'm actually, my body rejects animal products now. I
Yeah.
think it literally throws them out again.
Like, don't even try it. It's coming right back out.
Yeah, and I look back on my life and I'm like, oh, I probably always did have a problem with milk. Oh, that explains why I didn't like milk as a child. And I think sometimes the aversions, because
Mhm.
people might have a physical reaction to something, even though it's a psychological reason. I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's not, it's just intolerances or mild allergies, because
Yeah.
children don't have the filter to fit in, or, oh, I should be able to eat this, or this is healthy, or this, none of
Hmm.
that's there. They just go, oh, I don't like this, it makes my mouth burn.
Yeah.
Or I have that with beetroot, and I think it's just an incident at school. And it's
Hmm.
it's like it reminds me of the incident, so it tastes just like you never put beetroot in hummus, please.
No.
That's my least favorite kind because it's like a very subtle taste and smell, but
Mm-hmm.
it penetrates everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I never liked milk. Like as a kid, I never drank glasses of milk. That wasn't my thing. I would put just enough in my cereal for it to be like wet. As I got to be a teenager, my parents were concerned that I was on drugs because every morning I would get up, and I got up like early for school because there were four of us between my parents, me and my brother, getting ready for school, getting ready for work, one shower. So we all had to, get up and whatever. And I got up early and I blamed it on that for so long. Oh, my body doesn't like to be up early. But I would get up early and my stomach would hurt so much. And I would have, I'd have diarrhea and and I would just be like downing Pepto-Bismol. And my parents were like, "What, are you addicted to Pepto-Bismol? Like, is this some kind of like drug addiction we don't know about?" And I was like, "No, my stomach just hurts." And then I would notice that it wasn't just in the morning. And I'd like, "Oh, food just upsets my stomach," or I'd blame it on like I'd have a salad with whatever, pizza or something I was eating and be like, "Oh, the onions or the lettuce upsetting my stomach." And it would be, I always had to make sure I was near a bathroom and because I never knew when an attack was coming. And it took me until, and then like being vegetarian, it was like everybody knew Kimberly's stomach is always messed up and like she's got to be near a bathroom. And it would ruin a lot of
It's not a
nice
nice
out.
reputation. Yeah.
No, yeah. And I was like dating and I'm like have to explain like, oh, my stomach just always hurts and did not even think about it. And then finally went vegan and it just stopped. So this whole time it was the milk and the cheese and I had gone to a doctor, a gastroenterologist who like in my late 20s was like, I need you to help me figure this out. And he did not do a lactose intolerance test. And I found out from other people, like they can just ask you questions and determine like if you have IBS. But he didn't even do that. He did like an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And he's like, oh, you don't have celiac. Okay, cool.
They can
Like,
do a
what do I
test for that as
have?
well without going in there. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I guess he really just wanted that money from the insurance company. But 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 yeah, so all of this stuff and he's like you don't have celiac. That's the best I got out of him, which is awesome because I do love me some gluten. And
Hmm.
but yeah, like never even suggested like do you eat a lot of dairy or you drink a lot of milk like and what an unfortunate thing
I think I had
that
a full-on addiction to cheese, and there is
oh, me
actually a
too.
chemical in cheese
Yeah.
that's a bit like heroin.
Mhm.
No, but that addictive, like sugar is addictive.
Oh yeah.
Cheese is addictive. I used to be a cheese muncher. Same as you, I used to avoid breakfast. I used to have a
Mhm.
banana. I did start fainting when I was a teen, though, so I was
Oh,
sort of forced to eat breakfast.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's taboo. That's why people don't talk about it. It's so common for people to avoid milk. It's like 1 in 5 people. But that
Hmm.
might be for a hunch they have about their IBS,
Right.
which is quite commonly misdiagnosed because that's basically a label for some symptoms, which,
Mm,
funnily enough, is just like milk intolerance. But I'm not lactose intolerant because I have the gene to produce lactase.
okay.
But obviously, I've been avoiding milk for years. I'm not producing it on the same level as an infant that's breastfeeding because that's what it's for. So
Hmm.
naturally, as people avoid milk, they become lactose intolerant unless they start building it up again, which obviously I'm not going to do. But I can't be tested because I'm not going to eat milk to be tested. Right? But the theory is I'm milk intolerant, but it's severe. And it's not just diarrhea, it's like explosive fainting and
Oh gosh.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to look after my children if I was caught out. And I have
Huh.
been like laying on the bathroom floor with my pants down and a 2-year-old walks in. And so that's sort of the moment for me when I'm like, come on, you just got to stop saying it's uncomfortable. For the
Yeah.
NHS in the UK, they say uncomfortable for lactose intolerance. You're like, well, it's more than uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like being stabbed.
Oh, right. Yeah. I like my intestines, I could feel them like it was just and I would get hot and like sweaty and it's just
There's a lot
Is
of things about like anxiety as well, because anxiety can cause similar symptoms where
mm,
the gut doesn't work and things like that, and things don't digest properly. But is it anxiety because they've got an allergy? Because some of the symptoms of allergy is like hives and
mm,
thing, and so when I had a severe allergy attack, and it was, they tested my blood, I'd had a severe allergy to something that they then didn't test, which was a bit stupid of them. But so they can tell it's an allergy, but at the time they thought I was having a panic attack
oh,
because basically I couldn't breathe and I'd gone like numb around the face, and it could be caused by hyperventilation
mm,
because all of everything was itching,
yeah.
like including my airway. And so now I have
Oh,
a asthma diagnosis, but it's so mild, I don't mention it to anyone. Like on an aeroplane, I don't need an EpiPen or any of that.
hmm.
So if I mentioned that I had a shellfish allergy or a milk allergy, the amount of grief I'd get for I just don't have to eat it. I'd just
Right.
take my own food. It's not worth mentioning it. But the number of people that have allergies and just don't mention it, if they ask the UK population, quite a good few million there, it's something like 20% of people say they have a food sensitivity themselves.
Mm,
It's like it could be a mild allergy or an intolerance, but that's like so many people.
yeah. Huh.
It's a bit bad for business if you don't even think about these things.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That going back to the disclaimer that you mentioned, where it's like, sorry, everything's cross contaminated, can't do anything about it. They're really alienating so many people and a lot of people who probably would really love what they're serving and would be loyal regular customers. It really, the more inclusive we can be, the more people we can serve. It's like when you mention the group of people going out and there's the one vegan who's like, "Sorry, I can't eat anything at this place." So everyone goes where they can find something. People who still consume animals can eat anywhere. They can eat, eating a vegan dish if they end up at a vegan restaurant is not going to end things for them. They'll be fine. But vegans and people with allergies can't just eat anywhere. And so the more we can accommodate that, the better off we all are.
And someone who's avoiding the animal products except for fish, like
Mhm.
that's a really common one. They can have the
Yeah.
vegan option with fish. Like
Yeah.
you can add it to
Right.
rather than you can't take it out. It's the same with allergies. You can have something that, you've created and it's suitable for someone with milk allergy. And then you add whatever you like to it separately and just
Mhm.
keep that base protected.
Right.
And so having this clean vegan option, which basically is the allergy friendly, only for the animal products, not gluten
Mhm.
free, although could be,
Yeah.
if it's vegetables. Um, it's like they've lost their creativity. Like a lot of chefs
Yeah.
have so much power, but they're too scared to deviate from the norm because
Mhm.
of these allergy disclaimers. And really, what they're protecting against with the disclaimer is a freak accident.
Yeah.
But it's like they're using it so they don't have to bother. So they're not even going
Mhm.
to attempt to prepare something separately. They're not going to even consider it or think about it. But if you
Yeah.
give someone notice, like on our website, we say if you want dietary preferences, you need to call us a few days before so we can have prepared something in advance so you don't interrupt our service.
Right.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
You might get a wedding party at a restaurant or even hotels. The whole hotel could be
Yeah.
booked with one party or one conference. If you
Mhm.
take the effort of the catering off the event organizer, you get the gig.
Yeah.
So there's big money in it.
Mhm. So when you work with restaurants, how do you like what's the process and what is the reaction that you find as you kind of demonstrate to them how ineffective that disclaimer really is and how where they really can make changes? Like what's kind of the reaction that you find that you're
Well,
getting from them?
usually they come to me because there's been a problem.
Okay.
So sometimes it's their basic food safety
Mm,
is not right. They haven't trained their staff. But quite often they have some blanket disclaimer that a hospitality consultant has copied from a legal website and stuck on the bottom of the menu, and that is it. So
mm,
the disclaimer says, please ask the manager, and the manager hasn't got a clue about allergies
yeah.
or the risk, or if it's a vegan restaurant, they just think everything's vegan here, you'll be
You'll be
You're
fine.
you're good, and then they don't realize some of their products have disclaimers on the product
Mm.
because it's been manufactured in a place, especially the dairy products. You know, the non-dairy products are probably being made by the dairy company or
Hmm.
the, especially with meats and that kind of contamination. There are people that are allergic. It's called alpha-gal. There are people that are allergic to red meat.
Hmm.
It comes from having tick bites. So that's
Oh yeah, I've heard
at least
about
that's a
that.
mechanism. We know why people get
Yeah.
allergies, right? We can see that, oh, you've been bitten by something and your body's reacted. And if you've been bitten
Mhm.
twice, it reacts more,
Oh
like
wow.
that. Yeah, it's very serious. You get
Hmm.
anaphylaxis. And some of them can't even have like meat cooked near them. So it becomes
Mm.
an air. So that's really like, don't
Yeah.
leave the house type of scary.
Right.
Um, and I'm sure that's hard for the family to deal with because they become allergic. It's not something they were born with,
Yeah.
but they don't know why people are allergic. That's also really scary.
Yeah.
But in a
Hmm.
restaurant situation, that's where I usually start is, have you got food safety? Are you going to get prosecuted? Do you have a disclaimer that is appropriate or is it
Mm.
nonsense? Because people will just ignore it if it's nonsense.
Yeah.
If it's a vegan restaurant, is it actually vegan? Like, is there contamination in their ingredients? If they make everything from scratch, I'm like, advertise the shit
Yeah.
out of this, right? Like you're not advertising to your full market. So say 20% of vegan food goes to vegans. The other 80% is people that want the vegan option for the reasons.
Hmm.
Maybe the flexitarians, that seems to be the mindset of the big corporations. Like, we're aiming at the flexitarians. Like, if you aim for the vegan, the flexitarians can still eat that.
That's
So
right.
a lot of it's training, especially in the allergy understanding. But also, I probably have to scare them a little bit
I bet.
to
Yeah.
understand the significance of allergies. But then, so you basically train the staff, but there's like a training for the supervising or managing staff, and then training for the average waiter, because all they really need to be able to do is point you in the direction of the information.
Hmm.
They don't. A lot of the trouble with people who waiter or serve in bars or any of that is that they're trying to do the customer service thing, so they'll have a guess, and
Right.
that's really not helpful.
Yeah.
And they're the face of the company. They might show absolute incompetence when actually the chef is very good, but
Yeah.
the chef's hidden behind this disclaimer, so it's really not
Hmm.
clear who is competent and who isn't. So I try to pick out what they are capable of and what they should legitimately disclaim and explain why they're disclaiming it because it's actually very risky.
Yeah.
That's helpful. But the biggest piece is probably the marketing because do you realize what you can get out of this effort? Because a lot of the chefs will be like rolling their eyes, going, "Oh, the vegans, oh, the people with allergies, oh, the disrupt service." Legitimately, if they're in a busy service, they probably don't have any creative brain juices left.
Right.
And it's probably not a pleasure because they're basically going to give you some steamed broccoli rather
Hmm.
than, some chefs need to learn how to cook vegetables. Like
Yes. Oh
that
gosh.
is part of their craft, and they need it. They need it more and more with time. But
Yeah.
the trouble is, as well, a lot of restaurants, like the big chain restaurants, they don't actually make anything on site.
Mm.
So it is all mass produced and just, it's not reheated, but regenerated when it
Right.
arrives,
Ugh.
recreated again. Um, but I've been places where they say that this is the vegan option, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know if we put butter on it or not." You're like, "Well, just don't put butter on it then. Then we can be
Yeah.
sure, be sure." And like, "Oh, but the packaging," and he says vegetarian. That's one of my pet peeves. I do have this hotel chain I like, but they've started since probably the last year.
Mhm.
Instead of having vegan on things, they've just started writing vegetarian, and then you'd have to ask, and then the waiter's like, "It just says vegetarian. We don't know." And you're like, the reason they're doing that is because they're scared of people with milk allergy. So the
Ah.
vegan option goes in the gluten-free section with the lactose-free, which so that kind of putting lactose-free next to
Mm.
gluten-free, that's misleading for people because they'll think it's milk-free. So
Yeah.
these sort of arrangements of where a lot of allergy management is separation.
Mm.
So if they have buffets, there's a technique for how do people order and get their own individual plate that's not been on the buffet because other customers can be really gross.
Mm. Yeah.
Can something be made vegan? Like, can it be made without the animal product? Can something be made gluten-free? Like you exchange the bread for gluten-free, and they can even do that and add the extra cost because gluten-free bread is more expensive.
Hmm.
But sometimes it's astonishing the
Yeah,
price increase.
it really can be.
Yeah, I know a lot of the coffee chains now, at least in Europe and especially in the UK, have stopped charging now extra
Oh,
for the animal products.
That's
So
nice.
that's quite good.
Yeah.
Then you can, as the customer, you can sort of train them as well.
Hmm.
But I know that there's Costa Coffee. It's in a few countries, but it's really common it's a coffee chain in the UK, and they changed their oat milk so it's no longer friendly for people with celiac disease. And there
Uh,
was a like outcry from the community because that's probably 5% people or something have some sort of gluten intolerance
hmm.
all the way to severe celiac disease.
Yeah.
And now they can't go there because they can't actually
Incredible.
have anything from there. They couldn't
Yeah.
have they can't have the soya now because there's gluten on the coffee machine. So they've just excluded a whole percentage of the population. I hope that has serious consequences. I hope they get best.
Yeah.
Or change the milk bank. Oh, that would be the
Hmm.
best outcome.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing I look at. The information available to people, especially in advance, like on websites, how they can explain it in a way that's human rather than
Hmm.
technical, get lost, everything's in everything,
Yeah.
and how to train their staff with. Usually, I would train people serving just to forward them to the information, and there's a process for how the chef gets that information, and then you're dealing with the chef really via
Hmm.
or if there's another service they could use to pre-order. So it's a little bit like tweaking a system.
Hmm.
It's like veganizing something. It's just got
Yeah.
multi-factors.
Right. I was just thinking about going back to when you had said that people are like, well, this is a vegan restaurant. Everything should be okay here. And I was thinking about nuts. And so there's so many amazing things that we can make with nuts, different types of cheeses and sauces that are so wonderful, but not if you have a nut allergy. And so even if it's vegan and the dish itself doesn't have nuts in it, so you want to order something and there's definitely no nuts in it, but they're making it in the same kitchen as the stuff that has nuts and
Potentially on the same
yeah.
equipment.
Right, yeah. And then just
And
like
there are people that are allergic to airborne dust
yes.
particles from nuts. So I have a friend who's got severe, the full-on extreme peanut
Mhm.
allergy, and she can detect peanuts in the next room because
Wow.
like I start watering and she detects whatever
Oh
sensation it
gosh.
is on her face. Uh,
Yeah.
she's been in hospital, nearly died 6 times or something.
Mm,
And people will still argue with her that, peanuts, because she avoids nuts as well, and quite often they're manufactured, and packaged together in the same sort of
right.
factory setting, that she's like, no nuts. And then they're arguing with her what's a nut and what isn't a nut. And peanuts are
Oh
not
gosh.
technically a nut, they're a legume. And all
Yeah.
that. And she's like, will you just not believe me, please?
Yeah.
Just do it without nuts. But it is dangerous, and people also, like the general public, would, if their understanding is of allergens can be deadly, then they just think that someone has an EpiPen, like an
Mhm.
injector, and that will save them. But sometimes people have had 3 or 4 of them and they've still died,
Oh.
and there's different for children, and that is not a. It's like having a wet floor sign, but leaving the floor like icy and wet and soapy and oily, and then
Yeah.
expecting people not to fall over just because you put the sign there. And that's a bit like a disclaimer. You put the sign there, they know there's a risk. You haven't told them what the risk is, how big it is, how
Mhm.
likely, how much contamination in terms of allergies. But and quite often there's a lot of greenwashing that, oh, we prepared the
Mhm.
vegan option separate to meat, and you're like, do you prepare it separately to milk? Like,
Right.
or do you just cook it in the same fat as your cheesy poppers?
Yeah. And they're like, "What do you mean? Isn't this fine?"
I think a lot of vegans don't understand when something says may contain, they think, oh, that's just a legal thing. And you're like, no, it may contain at the beginning of the batch a
Yeah.
significant amount of animal product. So if you do have a sensitivity,
Mm.
you need to really notice it. But a lot of, especially in the US, they've started adding allergens to products like sesame
Mhm.
to avoid having to have this allergy risk assessment and
Oh
see what
gosh.
allergens. So they've just so a lot of breads, for example, are produced in places where they'll have sesame instead of separating it out and explaining and putting the allergy may contain information on the packaging. They've just added it as a ingredient.
It's such now
It's
I'm
it's
a
upsetting, isn't it? It's like
yeah, and
corporate corruption there.
like, as an American, I am not surprised that the government and the food industry is taking the easy way out. Not surprised at all. Ashamed, but not surprised. And that's terrible because the way that we eat here in this country, people definitely have allergies. And whether they develop them because their bodies are so bad off by the
Mm.
standard American diet or they were born with them.
There are
But
several
like,
theories about that. First of all, you might have more gluten. So specific to the gluten, you might have
mhm,
more gluten in your grains because they've been modified.
yeah.
But it might also be that you've got a higher threshold, like you're allowed to get away with a residue that's higher than other countries. Like if you
Mm.
go to Italy, apparently, this is what I've heard from other people who have this, because I don't have it. I have gone gluten-free a few times and it's made me feel better, but it's probably been like a fungal infection or something else, like irrelevant. Like the Candida diet, for example, I tried that and was like, oh, it seems to have sorted whatever it was. But that's why I was looking at like gluten-free friendly things, and I've obviously got a special interest in this as well. But apparently, if you go to Italy, people who've got a condition in the States and are injured every time they get glutened, and apparently if they go somewhere else where the bread is fermented more slowly and
Okay.
more naturally, let's say,
Mhm.
rather than increase the process, speed up the process, then they don't feel the same. So it's still got gluten in it.
Yeah.
It's just it's been fermented properly as bread is intended. And
Yeah.
I just find that fascinating. But one thing I've noticed inspecting restaurants for food safety before the food inclusivity
Mhm.
thing evolution, um, like American franchises will disinfect food like lettuce and tomatoes and onions. And then in the UK, they sort of don't do that. Different, they don't use chlorine, they use like something that you can eat
Mm.
if there was a residue. And it's not done in the venue, it's done by the manufacturer, or
Mm.
it's not done in batches, it's done, separately, or they try and prepare it in a different way so that you peel it in a different place and then you sterilize and then
Mm.
no, disinfect, sorry, and then you have the bulb at least that's not individually disinfected.
Mhm.
And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And then I moved to Denmark and they just use water or they don't clean it at all.
Mhm.
And it's the food chain. It doesn't
Yeah.
have like animal on it, like
Mhm.
the same in the same way. So the whole food system, including the fertilizers and everything like that, is very different in the States compared to Denmark. And Denmark actually still has organic. So if I had you'll find this interesting. It's not a vegan thing, but it's a very interesting thing that a
Yeah.
cucumber in Denmark, you can get a cucumber that has the Danish flag, so you know it's Danish.
Oh,
They do it in
wow.
Britain as well, like so you've got British grown, whatever.
Mhm.
But if you get a Danish flag cucumber and then you get a Spanish organic cucumber, the residue in the organic Spanish cucumber might still be there because it's so like common for it to have non-organic cucumbers. It's really hard to get organic in Spain because of the predominance of everything else.
Mm.
Whereas in Denmark, the Danish one's better than the organic Spanish one. So
Wow.
if you get an organic Danish one, it's like this huge guaranteed superior level of organic compared to other countries because they don't have any GMO or they don't have any,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they've got advanced amount of, and I think there's a preference from the society for organic. And
Mm.
like the standard of living in the taxes here is like still boggles my mind. I've lived here 10 years, still sweat at the taxes, but people buy organic.
Mm.
So make sure you got a red flag. Don't pay the extra for organic. Just stick with the Danish.
Right.
Isn't that it's so amazing? Is things like apples are allowed to be like sprayed with metals and stuff in some parts of Europe. And because they have the European Union agreement, it's allowed to be sold all in Europe, but Denmark
Mm.
has, for domestic companies, have higher standards.
Mhm.
So the food here is really, let's say, less contaminated with other chemicals
Yeah.
than the rest of Europe, even.
Huh. And apples here, they keep a lot of them in cold storage. New York State is a big apple growing area of the country and Washington State as well. And buying apples at the grocery store, like if you're just buying a conventional apple, like sometimes they can taste really gross because they look beautiful because they've been covered in this wax and,
Which
they're
might not be
shiny.
vegan.
Right. But then you find out like they've probably been in cold storage since last season. So it's months. This apple is just like degrading inside, but it still looks gorgeous on the outside. So many people don't know that.
Yeah, and they pick the fruit when it's not ripe yet,
Yeah.
and then they like chemically or with temperatures and things ripen it when it's just about to be sold. So you might be thinking you're not eating a green banana, but you're actually eating a green banana. So it doesn't have the same nutritional value. Yeah, I can't. So I'm at the restaurant and hotel end, probably because I can't take knowing the manufacturing capabilities or health
Makes
and
sense.
safety issues. Yeah, they do a lot with sterilizing and disinfecting and even milk. It's got a lot of pus in it. Like it has a lot of bacteria in it
Yeah.
and hormones and antibiotics. They
Yep.
just nuke it.
And
So
there's like
it's dead pus. Is that better? It's dead
yeah.
pus.
Oh. And that's just accepted.
Yeah.
Like even before I went vegetarian, I knew that there was a percentage of pus in milk, which means it was in cheese. So like I said, I wasn't, downing glasses of milk, but I sure ate the hell out of some cheese. It's like, why do we accept that?
Someone was upset. It was a social media post, and they were upset about Parmesan because it's
Mm,
got like ground up calf in it.
yeah.
Like the enzymes are from, they basically just dry the stomach lining and stick that in. And I was like, oh yeah, I've not really thought about it, but I knew it wasn't vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a lot of vegetarians that just eat cheese and they don't think about the
Right.
details, right? So they're just
Yep.
vegetarian. I'd say they're just like vegan have a vegan diet, they're a vegetarian diet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually because they can't stand the texture, they have an aversion to meat.
Yeah.
Or they've just been brought up vegetarian, so it's what they're used to, which probably is what should happen to people with vegan. It should just be how we're brought up in future and everyone's used to it. But I think it was a typical eater, it might have been a vegetarian. They didn't realize, they thought the enzymes were harvested from calves,
Mm.
but then like manufactured somehow, or they were using the same enzymes over and over. And enzymes are just like the juices, so it's not. You still have to kill the animal. Oh yeah, I knew that, but I didn't realize I was actually eating baby cow. And you're like, why is eating baby cow worse than eating adult cow?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get their logic at all, but they did do a really good picture of like mass-produced Parmesan, and it with what they were saying, I was a bit like, oh yeah, you're right. It's definitely gross.
The mental gymnastics that we will do to justify something that we're doing is incredible. I don't know how else to describe that, but it is incredible what we are capable of to distance ourselves from taking any responsibility for certain things or being part of something that makes us very uncomfortable.
I do have to sympathize a bit though. Well, maybe I'm getting less and less as I age, or as time goes on. But when I first became vegan, I think the thing I missed most, people always ask you that, like, did you miss
Mm-hmm.
bacon or did you miss cheese? I probably did miss cheese because I was addicted to cheese.
Yep.
I did withdraw when I became vegan. It took a few months with like skin problems, and then I suddenly lost a lot of weight, surprisingly, which was in a good way. Like you could tell by my figure that I'd lost some good weight there. But I actually miss gelatine. It's
Hmm.
such a versatile product and it's in everything. But if I see gelatine in a factory, for example, it's either powder or like a clear gel thing, like
Mm-hmm.
hard. So
Yeah.
it's so far removed from the animal. But then if
Right.
you had to say like cigarettes, you had to put a warning on bacon
Mm-hmm.
and just see which part of the animal this is. You're eating a pig ass. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or like gelatine, it's like boiled hooves and things. It's
Mm-hmm.
all the gross bits. And I'm like, yeah, but the thing you put in the food, like if you were making it at home, you just add this clear,
Right.
like you'd have to
Mm-hmm.
circle this piece of plastic thing, or you'd have to put some powder in and
Yeah.
then watch it go more solid.
Mm-hmm.
So things like cheesecake, I was like, oh yeah, it's probably got gelatine in. Oh, I wish it didn't have gelatine in. But now I have a favorite place to go, and it's just because they have such good cheesecake. It's like
Oh,
the
nice.
cheesecake. Like the cheesecake is better than what I remember of normal cheesecake.
Mm. Oh, that's the best. So we have something in common, and we'll just quickly talk about this, but we both love Toastmasters.
Yeah.
And
It,
go
it
ahead.
was actually my book mentor, Jerry Roberts. He's a like famous book mentor, but he's also a really good public speaker.
Hmm.
He's like, you have to go if you want to be an author, you have to go there. So I did. And it was in the pandemic. So it's
Nice.
only 2020. And it's just down the road and it's so nice.
Hmm.
It's so amazing. I don't have a fear of public speaking. I just wanted to be better. I thought it was a bit crap. I definitely learned something.
It has definitely helped me. This podcast is the result of Toastmasters project, but also I wanted so badly to be a public speaker, but was terrified. And this has given me going to Toastmasters, and just like you, my club's like practically down the street. I love it so much. And it has my favorite thing, aside from how alive I feel when I do it, is that it has allowed me this different way of activism. So I'm better prepared to have conversations, and both off the cuff and kind of planned ones. And it's just given me an opportunity to see what I'm capable of as far as getting my message out there to anyone, activists, thinking about how they could be more effective. Join Toastmasters.
I think it's like therapy or personal development or something. Because
Yeah.
I know I was really drawn to the improv, which is sort of
Hmm.
like it's a bit thrilling. I
Oh,
think
I
that's
love it. It's my
what I liked
favorite
about it.
part.
And there are people that do improv for like therapy for people who are
Hmm.
anxious or, it helps the emotions because you do something that you can't plan. It's like,
Right.
especially because I joined during the pandemic, it was really a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
But it also highlighted my weaknesses. Like I can't stand planning a really long speech or like a
Hmm.
presentation with data and in my field that's unusual because most people are quite detail orientated and they have a lot of academic background. I'm not an
Mm.
academic. I have credentials, but this like just speaking and showing up and like you and I talked about Toastmasters and then we suddenly know each other really deeply because
Yeah.
we know the process. And there's a lot of
Right.
people that need support going there. And it's sort of made me realize that liking public speaking is actually quite a good strength and it's
Hmm.
powerful in a lot of ways because the vegan movement's not been loud enough. That's why
Right.
there's so few. And, trying to counteract someone's argument for eating meat is a bit like arguing with a crazy person. It's it's not necessarily logical, so you have to think
Yeah.
of the emotional arguments rather than the direct, well, he did have to kill the animal. Oh no, but I didn't kill it. But, well, he outsourced the killing part. So I think it sort of brought me confidence that I was already good enough, whereas I
Hmm.
didn't know I was good enough before.
Yeah.
I guess that was the difference. But I think if you do write a book, so I'm encouraging you to,
Yes.
it's definitely like speaking about the book is definitely a good way to get your message out there and
Mm.
have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Heather, this has been amazing. So informative. I know that I think any listener will get something out of this, but absolutely people who have allergies or those who run a restaurant or kitchen or hotel where they can really start to hone in on how they can help more people than not, and how they can be more inclusive and bring in, for them, more business too. So thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. I've got one more question for you. Tell me about your favorite hummus.
But it's actually from the time my friend took me to the supermarket, and it's a hummus I'd never tried before, and it's called yellow split pea hummus. So it's not
Hmm.
chickpeas, it's like smaller yellow peas,
Yeah.
and it's just Moorish. I think it had a little bit of curry in it. But even like my auntie and uncle were there, they're in their 70s. They were like, "What's this hummus?" But it was the first like event. There was about 20 people there. It's the first event I'd done fully vegan, and no one was like surprised or bothered by the vegan.
Mm,
It's like buffet style, but it's quite impressive stuff.
nice.
Everyone bonds over hummus, even the kids, and because it was a kids' party, like my relatives were there, but like my sister's kids, and I had a relative, a old friend from Australia who had her kids. So it's quite a big, busy, chaotic party.
Mhm.
But kids also like split pea hummus.
That's pretty impressive. I think as a kid, any food you can dip something into is exciting. And then yeah, like a yellow split pea hummus, I imagine is like a nice bright yellow, and so it's
Mm.
visually interesting too.
Yeah, and if you have several types of hummus, the kids will eat more hummus because they're
Right.
trying each color. Don't put beetroot
Except
in.
beetroot. Beautiful as it would look. Wouldn't
And
would
not too much chili because that's also a dietary preference for people.
yeah.
Apparently in Finland there's more people allergic to chilies and carrots, but I think it's just
Oh.
because they're better at investigating allergies there. It's like their specialism.
Huh, interesting. Well, it sounds like we could talk about this all night. But again, thank you, Heather, so much. This has been really wonderful.
It's been wonderful to be here.
Welcome back. Heather shared so many eye-opening facts. This episode definitely deserves another listen. I love the work Heather is doing to bring about change and more inclusivity in the hospitality sphere. Eating together is such a natural human event. Everyone should be able to take a seat at the table and know they are safe from food and or contaminants that have the ability to hurt them or worse. To connect with Heather, visit her website, heatherlandex.com. There's also a link in the show notes right to her free resources page as well. And if you're interested in picking up her book, Inclusive, the New Exclusive, How the Food Service Industry Can Stop Leaving Money on the Table, you'll find that link in the show notes as well. Follow Heather on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Heather Landex, and connect with her on LinkedIn. That link also in the show notes. This is it, the final episode of Season 3. I'll be back a bit later in the year with an exciting Season 4. I would like to take a moment and thank all of my guests this season. What an honor it is to use my platform to share your stories, your missions, your dreams with my listeners. I continue to learn and grow as an interviewer, a vegan, and a person. Thank you to my listeners for, without you, these episodes and messages go unheard. Some of the things we talk about on Did You Bring the Hummus absolutely break your heart, but there's a lot of hope here too. And you're here for all of it, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. These stories are of everyday people leading with their hearts for a better tomorrow. While I take some time to work on some things and then begin recording new episodes for Season 4, I invite you to listen back to episodes you missed or those you loved. You never know what new inspiration you might find. I'd also love a message from you. Tell me what you love most about Did You Bring the Hummus? What would you like to hear more of or less of? Where can I get better? Email me at didyoubringthehummus@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram and let me know. As always, if you're a vegan or you know a vegan who'd be a great fit for the podcast, follow the Be a Guest link in the show notes. Fill out the quiz and I'll be in touch. I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're loving it, please give Did You Bring the Hummus a 5-star rating and leave a review. It's an easy way to keep supporting the show. Be sure to share these episodes with your friends. If you're finding something good here, they will too. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Did You Bring the Hummus, and visit my website, didyouBringTheHummus.com, for more information about me, updates on what I'm working on, new podcast episodes, and all things vegan. Finally, I would love to hear from you. What do you need help with? Is there a topic you want to hear covered on a future episode? DM me on Instagram or send me an email, didyouBringTheHummus@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.